Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be back in Toronto at the Metals Investors Forum and look forward to sharing with you today our new district discovery in southwestern Mongolia, our standard forward-looking statements. We're first movers in one of the world's richest gold and copper belts, the Central Asian Orogenic Belt. We have a high-grade gold mine under construction. We have multi-million ounce potential. We have a second-to-none partner in Mongolia who's assisting us with this build. And we have what I call a sleeping giant in our Zunmod porphyry copper molybdenum project. And I'll share with you a little bit on each of those today. First off, if you draw your attention to this blue box in the top right corner, the USGS reported in 2010 that this area that we work in, this region, was one of the top 4 new copper and gold discoveries. But because of its location, it was remote, infrastructurally challenged, it was not seeing a lot of discoveries. Well, at the time they issued this report, we'd already been working this area for about 6 years. We had launched a year prior to that one of the largest ever regional exploration programs in the Trans-Altai terrain. And what you see today is the dividends that are being paid for that work that we started almost 20 years ago. What's happened since that time is you've had the infrastructure changed. You know, they pointed out the fact that it was challenged infrastructurally. Well, now you've seen that encroachment of infrastructure come up to the border. You're seeing multiple large mines being built, blacktop highways, railways, power transmission, all now exponentially growing in this region, which is supporting the mining industry. We've located this area we call the Hundy Minerals District, about 200 kilometers northwest of a border crossing along the Chinese border. And we've identified 3 deposits to date with limited exploration, all of those deposits exposed at surface in an area that no modern geologists have walked across before we entered the picture. So very exciting from a new discovery perspective. You'll see a white line crossing through the middle of that image. That's one of the planned railways. We're currently almost completed on construction of a power line from the border area, 240 kilometers to our site. So things are changing very rapidly in this area. I'll share with you today some of the details around the Bayan Hyundai project in particular. We're an exploration group. We recognized we had a deficiency in terms of being able to build these things, and we entered into an alliance with a company called Mongolia Mining Corporation, who is Mongolia's largest private miner. They entered into a 50-50 alliance with us on the gold projects. You'll see kind of 3 silos here. We have the 50-50 alliance. We've retained a 5% NSR on top of that. But also we've kept 100% interest in our molybdenum copper project as well. And we'll use that vehicle to acquire other assets outside of the area of interest. To fund this project, we have tapped into $170 million US in debt and equity. 40 million came in through the alliance. 80 million in a shareholder's loan and 50 million from Trade and Development Bank was entered into in November. So we're fully funded for construction. We also, as you'll see at the bottom of this page, have a number of significant equity shareholders in the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Eric Sprott, and we are the only dual-listed company on the Mongolian Stock Exchange with 7,000 Mongolian shareholders. This is the progress as it looked last week, so we're nearing completion, and I'll share with you some of those details. We elected back in 2019, when we understood what we have, which was a very high-grade, at-surface, open-pit opportunity with great metallurgy, to push forward with development, access to cash flow, so we could really start to unlock the opportunities in this district without dilution. As many of you have experienced, it's been very tough for junior mining companies to raise money without massive dilution, and we decided we would put a stop to that and get to cash flow. So what you see here is that initial discovery area, 500,000 ounces of gold at 4 grams per ton, just a tremendous opportunity for expansion in front of us, which I'll share with you. Just briefly on that subject, you'll see here a 5-kilometer trend. The 2 pits are superimposed on this, but there's a 0.1 gold shell also shown here, which just gives you a sense of the potential to step out. These pits were developed at $1,800 gold, and we're seeing exceptional opportunities for expansion around that. We have a 6-year mine life in reserve. We'll hit about 85,000 ounces per year as we get into full stride next year. And you'll see here it starts to drop off in year 6, but I'll bring you back to that point of the pipeline in front of us, and I think you'll come away with this with the same confidence I have that we have a long life opportunity in front of us. 2023 feasibility results, as I mentioned, high grade, very high margin, low cost mine. You'll see that MPV there at $1,800 gold that effectively doubles or more at current gold price. A shot of the site layout, you'll see the plant on the far middle. Carbon and pulp plant, simple processing, very clean metallurgy. We'll get 93% recovery out of this. It generates about 1950 ton per day. I mentioned the overhead transmission line top right. That's been built now. We're about 2 months away from turning that on, but 242 kilometers of line has been constructed to this site. And it's a testament to what our partners see here. You don't build a 240-kilometer power line for a 6-year mine life. This is really to start to build out this district. We're the first in Mongolia on an integrated dry waste facility, so conserving 80% of our water. And quite a shallow pit. Maximum depth there is 150 meters, but open in most directions. Just a few shots of progress. I'd point out bottom right, we've built a 350-person permanent camp facility 5 kilometers north of the site. This is a relatively remote location, as mentioned. We have the best contractors in the country. MCSP is our manager on site, have done a lot of the work for Rio Tinto at Oyu Tolgoi, power transmission company, and all of our equipment is now on site and installed that has come from global suppliers of mining equipment. We are now in the final stages of construction. We expect to enter into commissioning throughout Q2. We'll get first ore through that plant in early Q3 and hit commercial towards the end of Q3. So back to the pipeline. You'll see Bayan Khundii in the southern part of this image. To the left of that, Ulaan, Dark Horse to the north. Discoveries we've just made in the last few years. Altan Nar, 16 kilometers north, and Zuun Mod, 35 kilometers to the east. Just first off, Bayan Khundii and the district around it is exceptionally high grade for an open pit deposit. If you cast your eyes over the 3 discoveries on the left-hand side, the gram meter maps, it's not unusual for us to hit 200 to 600 gram meter intersections in all 3 of these deposits, and oftentimes those intersections are coming at surface. In October, we stepped out to the west of the pit, and we're hitting 42 meters of 7 grams within 150 meters of surface. Just exceptional grades for expansion in the future. At depth, we have multitude of intersections of 10 to 50 gram intersections along the bottom of that. These pits were developed at $1,800 gold, so room for expansion there. We've just completed 13,000 meters of infill drilling. We'll have results of that as we get into the latter part of March. Our most recent discovery, and not yet in resource, is the Ulaan discovery, which is about half a kilometer to the west. Our first hole here was 50 meters of 3.5 grams per ton within 80 meters of surface, and we followed that up, as you can see, with some terrific intersections of up to 40 meters of 8 grams, still exploring this area. Dark Horse, that inset map, 40,000 ounces of 7 grams sitting in a supergene deposit at surface. We kind of rushed that into the feasibility because we're going to open this up in year 3, but plenty of room for expansion around that as well, 2.5 kilometers north of the pit. And then Altan Nar, we'll get this into the development pipeline in 26, but this is 500,000 ounces of gold at 2 grams per ton, 3 million ounces of silver, and about 200 million pounds of lead and zinc, and really hasn't seen a lot of love. We established this as a resource in 2015, the same year we found Bayan Khundii, and really shifted our focus there. So we'll get back up here. Zuun Mod, one of the largest undeveloped moly copper projects in Asia. China is the largest consumer of molybdenum and has gone into deficit in the last few years, so they're starting to import. We're in a sweet spot here with a very large molybdenum deposit. There is $10 billion of in-situ metal value in the Zuun Mod deposit today, and we intend to start moving that forward as well. So in terms of the big picture, we have a 5-year plan. We're obviously focused on getting the first gold. That will unlock the opportunity to explore these other opportunities and to develop them with cash flow. So expansion at the Khundii district, start to bring Altan Nar along, begin to move Zuun Mod through PEA and into pre-feas, and all the while continuing to explore this very exciting new district. We have a very strong shareholder base. Mr. Sprott controls 19%, as I mentioned, a European bank. Our board and management own 7%, and a host of institutions globally are large shareholders. We've returned about 84% in the past 12 months and closer to 230% over the last 5 years. We have a terrific opportunity to add value here with exploration. We're obviously going through a revaluing, through a re-rating as we get closer to first gold, but what I see is that exceptional exploration upside and truly the makings of a new commodity and a new mining district in southwestern Mongolia. Thank you very much.